Okay, in our next chapter, we are going to start our talk about percents. Okay, and in this first section, we're going to look at the connections between percents, decimals, and fractions because, in a way, they all do kind of the same thing. They all represent part of a whole. Okay, now for topic one, it's just understanding what is a percent. Okay, so we have a few statements here that we need to understand. First, we have like fractions and decimals, percents are a way to represent part of a whole. Okay, so fractions, we have a numerator that represents some portion of the denominator, so it's a way to represent part of a whole. We have decimals, which are just another way to represent part of a whole. So it's some fractional part of a number, but we write it in that decimal format. And then we have percents. Now, the whole in percents is very, very specific, okay? So this right here, where we say percent means parts per 100. In this case, when you're dealing with a percent, the whole is always 100. Okay, so it's always what portion of 100 are we talking about? Okay, and then we use this symbol right here, this percent symbol. That's just how we denote that we're talking about a percent. Okay. So first example, it says find each percent. So we're going to look at just some really basic statements and we're going to indicate what the percent is. So what portion of 100 are we talking about? Okay. In a survey, 61 people out of 100 prefer soda to tea. What percent of people prefer soda? Well, we know 61 out of 100 surveyed prefer soda over tea. So we would just say this is really simple. It's 61%. And it's truthfully that simple. Okay. Now, on the flip side, we're not asked this, but what percent prefer tea? Well, we surveyed 100 people. Of those 100 people, 61 of them preferred soda. So how many were left over that preferred tea? Okay. Well, we could take the 100, we could subtract 61. That would leave me with 39. So we could say, hey, 39% of these people surveyed prefer tea. Okay. So even though we weren't asked that, that's a really simple thing that we can kind of get and pull out of this information. Okay. Now, for part B, it says a survey shows that 84 out of 100 people prefer chocolate chip cookies to oatmeal raisin. I think that's a typo. It should say two. Okay. So a survey shows that 84 out of 100 people prefer chocolate chip cookies to oatmeal raisin. What percent of people prefer oatmeal raisin? Okay, so this is kind of like the previous example where we looked at how many people prefer tea. We know 84% prefer chocolate chip cookies. Okay, so of those 100 people that we were investigating, we know that 84 prefer chocolate chip. How many of them actually preferred oatmeal raisin? Well, we would take 100, we would subtract 84, and we would be left with 16. So that tells us that 16% of people prefer oatmeal raisin. And there you have it. So that is just the really, really basic understanding of percent. It's a way to represent part of a whole, but the whole in this case is exactly 100. So when you're dealing with percent, it's what portion of 100 are we looking at? Okay.